Howdy everyone, this is Tricia and welcome to my channel. Alright, so I'm here and I'm ready to make some dinner, and I felt like having something really hearty and really delicious. And of course I love chicken, so that's what I'm going to be using. Some of you are going to recognize this particular casserole that I'm going to make is a King Ranch casserole, but I'm going to change it up a little bit, and I'm going to call it a TexasLady Casserole. So let me tell you the ingredients that I'm going to use because I have quite a few of them here. I went a little overboard, yes I did. And then we're going to go ahead and start to making this casserole. The first thing you're going to need is some chicken. You could take 2 or 3 chicken breasts, boil them if you want, and shred them or cube them up. I went ahead and I grabbed a whole rotisserie chicken, and I've already gone ahead and I've done a little bit of shredding, a little bit of chopping up with my knife. So it's just little pieces like that. I'm going to need some corn tortillas. You can use some soft corn tortillas, or you can use the crunchy corn chips, or you could use like a Dorito. I decided to go with tortilla chips, the crunchy ones, but I've chosen this blue corn tortillas just to give it something different, a different color, and just for some fun. All right, we're also going to be needing some cream of mushroom, and I've got a 10.5 ounce can of cream of mushroom, the same ounces of cream of chicken. I've got 8 ounces of regular sour cream. Now I'm going to use about 2/3 of this, and I'm going to leave about 1/3 of this, or maybe 3/4 of it, and leave 1/4 of this so I can top my casserole when I serve it. I'm going to be using some cheeses. Now the cheeses that you use, you can choose whatever you want. What I decided to choose was an easy melt cheese, which comes in a block like so, and you can find like Velveeta in this type of container, and just chop up some of it. And I've gone ahead and I've chopped up, and this kind of almost like 1.5 cups, almost 2 cups here, okay? And it's just roughly chopped. It was starting to melt on me, or getting soft on me, so I decided just to chop it up any way I can, just to get it to melt a lot easier. I also have a bag of Mexican blend shredded cheese. Now you could use cheddar cheese if you want. You could use a white cheddar, or even an Monterey, or is it Monterey Jack cheese? Yeah, you could use Jack cheese, and that would be awesome in there. Okay, so I've told you pretty much the main ingredients that go into the casserole. I'm also going to be using some black olives, and this was a 2.5 little can of black olives, and I almost feel like I should have gotten the bigger can, but that's what I got, just a small little can. You're going to need a 10-ounce can of the rotel, that's the diced tomato with the green chilies, and I happen to have a half a can already that I had already opened, and I opened up another can. So I actually have 1.5 cans, but you really only need 1. Now the rotel does come in its original, or it does come in its mild, and it does come in hot. I chose the hot. One thing that the Chicken Ranch casserole does not have is any beans, but I'm gonna add beans because I love beans, and my favorite beans are black beans. So I've already gone ahead and opened the can, and I've drained and I've rinsed them. Now the black beans that I buy have a lime and jalapeno flavor to them, and actually there's actually some little bits of jalapeno, so if you see that in there when I'm pouring it in, that's what it is. Okay, so I'm gonna also chop up some bell pepper. You could choose some green or some red bell pepper, whatever you want. I've gone ahead and I've cut some yellow, red, and some orange bell pepper, and I've cut them in half, and I've only used half, and then I've kind of julienne them like this, as you can see. And then you'll need half a large onion, and also slice it up, or you could chop it up if you prefer all of this chopped up instead of sliced. Now, I don't have a whole half an onion here. I have a 1/4 onion because I am going to be making 2 batches, one without onions and one with onions, and I'm not going to double my recipe because I don't need that much. But if you wanted to go ahead and double up everything, then make sure you use half an onion or even a whole onion, okay? I'm also going to be, my mouth is watering. I'm also going to be using a little bit of chicken broth, and I'm going to be seasoning this with some salt, some pepper, some ground cumin, and some garlic powder as well. I'm not using garlic salt, I'm using garlic powder. I'm going to be using some olive oil. You can use vegetable oil, or if you prefer, even some butter or even some spray. That'll be okay. Okay, I think I've mentioned the ingredients. If I left anything out, I'll just say it as I go along. So let's go ahead and get this started. All right, so the first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and put some olive oil, maybe about a tablespoon, in my pan. My pan's already ready and hot. Now, if I wanted onions in all of my casserole, of course, I would put my onions and my bell pepper to saute in here. But because half of this is not going to have onions. I'm going to do the onions separately. So we're just going to break these up. And I almost feel like I want more onions. But then again, I'm only doing half of the casserole with the onions. All right, so we're just going to saute them. Get them to be translucent. And come back and we'll put the bell peppers in there. All right, here are my onions, and they've gotten translucent, and they've even browned a little bit. You could caramelize these a lot more if you wanted, but I'm going to go ahead and stop here because I like the way they look just like that. So I'm going to pour this into a little bowl to set this aside. And now I'm going to go ahead and saute my bell peppers. Let's get this back on here. That beeping was just because this turns off once you remove a pot. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to put some more oil in here, another tablespoon. If you don't feel comfortable using that much, use a little bit less. So I'm going to put my bell peppers in there and saute them. But I'm going to go ahead and season them. So I'm going to go ahead and add about a half a teaspoon of salt. Use that to your preference. Some fresh cracked bell pepper. Now I'm going to wait on the cumin and the garlic just a little bit because I don't want the garlic to burn. So I'm just going to saute this with the bell pepper and the salt. And my onions saute for about 5 minutes, by the way. And I'm going to do the same thing with my bell peppers. So I'll be back in 5 minutes. All right, so it's been 5 minutes and my bell peppers have sauteed in my pan with the salt and the black pepper. Let me move this around this way. And now I'm going to go ahead and add the rotel with all the liquid. And then I'll go ahead and add my cumin and my garlic powder to this. And I'm going to just let this cook a little bit, just so some of that, the water from the rotel kind of evaporates a little bit. So let's go ahead and season it with some cumin. And how much? It's really up to you, but I like to put quite a bit of cumin, so I'm going to put maybe like a teaspoon of that in there. And I'm going to do the same with the garlic. Instead of sprinkling, I'm removing this off of it because it's so much easier to just pour it like that, and then I know how much I'm actually putting in there. So about another teaspoon of the garlic powder, maybe more. It depends on you, how much you love garlic powder. If you don't like cumin, well then just leave it out, but I really think you should add it in there because it does add that special taste. Okay, I had lowered the temperature to medium. I didn't mention that because I didn't want my bell peppers to burn, and I was getting this little black on the bottom, which I can now just scrape up with my little wooden spoon, and then all that stuff on the bottom is yum stuff, so don't worry about that. If you feel like you haven't sauteed your bell peppers quite enough yet to make them soft, you can add a little bit of your chicken broth, and I'm using the low sodium, by the way. I'm using a chicken broth with low sodium. You can add a little bit in there just to make sure it doesn't burn, and just let them continue cooking, and you could cover them, and then the steam will help soften those bell peppers. So I'm going to go ahead and raise my temperature up to high just to get this hot again the way I want it. And by the way, I do have my oven preheating at 350 degrees because this is all going to go in the oven when I build my whole casserole. So I'm going to wait a little bit and I'll be back and put the rest of the ingredients in. It's been about another 5 minutes and it still has some liquid in there, and that's okay because I am going to be adding some chicken broth, so I do want some liquid in there. If you don't want the liquid from the rotel, you could just drain it out, but it does have a lot of flavor, and that's why I went ahead and I used it. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and add more of these ingredients. I'm going to go ahead and add the black olives in there, just so I can make sure that I get them well incorporated into the bell peppers and the tomato, and make sure that I get black olives in every bit of my cream sauce that I'm going to create here, a cheesy cream sauce. My mouth is still watering, you guys. Oh my goodness. Okay, so now I'm going to add the cream of mushroom. I'm going to add the whole can. that cream of chicken as well. I like to make sure I get every little bit. Do you do that also? Make sure you get every little bit. There we go. It always kind of upsets me a little bit when I see someone cooking and they don't like take every bit out of a can or out of a bowl, especially, you know, like when they're making a cake batter or something. I feel like there's still some in there. Okay, so now I'm just gonna mix this up really well. Put my cans out of the way. This looks so good. I hope it looks good to you too. I hope you're thinking the same thing I am. Like, oh, you know what? This right here, just maybe adding the cheese would make a great dip. I think it would, especially with those onions. Oh my gosh. Why not? A hot, cheesy, creamy dip. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and add my cheese so I can go ahead and get this to melting in there. Ooh, a little rogue onion. Look at that. Get back over there. I don't want to surprise anybody with a crunchy onion. You know, sometimes people just don't like onions just because of their texture. They're okay with the taste, but they don't like to bite into an onion. I love onions, fresh, cooked. Anyway, that's a Texas sweet onion, so it's delicious. Okay, you could also use red onion instead of the yellow onion. Give it a little more bite. Okay, so I'm gonna let this melt and I'll be back and let you know how much time went by. So far, I think we've gone through about 15 minutes. And that's my cat. He's hungry. Gotta go feed him. And I'll be right back. All right, my cheese is pretty much melted in there. I do see some chunks in there, but that's okay. They will melt in the oven anyway. I'm gonna add about a 1/4 cup of this chicken broth. So I'm just gonna measure about. And then mix it in there really good, or really well. And then I'm gonna add the sour cream. So let's add about 3/4 or the whole thing if you want. Just add that in there. That'll give it a nice little tangy taste to your cheese. All right. And I'm gonna test out the idea that I have that this would be great as a dip. And I'm gonna grab a chip as soon as I've got all of this mixed really well in there. I'm gonna add one of my chips. Look at that. You wanna add some cooked sausage or some chorizo in there. Make a nice, ooh, well, you know what? I'm gonna save that idea for another video. Okay, these are all the items that I'm gonna put in my pan. I'm gonna go and start building my casserole. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this off. This is done, and I'll be back. All right, so here I've got 2 foil pans, as I showed you in the beginning. I would really just make this into one pan, a nice deep 9 by 13 casserole dish, but I want to divide this into 2. And of course, these are kind of big. I couldn't find a smaller pan, but I would probably want to use a smaller pan if I want to divide it into 2. Now I'm just going to spray these with some olive oil, cooking spray. You don't have to do that if you don't want to, but I'm going to go ahead and put that on there. Now I'm going to start with my first layer, and I'm going to just lay some of these blue corn chips, or if you want to use regular corn chips or tortillas, or even some Doritos. It would taste really nice with the Doritos with that added cheese flavor. And then if you wanted to use the spicy ones, then that would be even more awesome. I'm not spreading it all the way to the edges because it's not going to be a big casserole. I'm making 2 small ones. So just imagine this really full. Okay. Let's put this in there. Make a nice layer. Okay, so now I'm going to sprinkle some of this shredded chicken on here. Okay. Get some chicken on both of these. I think I'm gonna wait for the onions to the very end, and put them on the very top so that I can see which one it is that has the onions. There we go. Some more chicken over here. Maybe I'll go ahead and just spread it all out, just so it looks pretty in the pan, even though it's not gonna be this deep of a casserole. Let's spread this out a little bit more, because I feel like it's gonna spread out anyway once I put that cheese sauce over it, that creamy cheese sauce. Okay, so now I'm gonna sprinkle some beans. My hands are nice and clean, so I'm gonna use some of these beans and just sprinkle them on there. A nice generous amount. The same to the other one. And I'm gonna use same hand to use some of this cheese, or to sprinkle some of this cheese in there. I'm not gonna worry about it because I'm gonna be using this whole bag here. So here we go. And sprinkle some of that on there as well. All right, just a little bit. And now we're gonna put our creamy cheese sauce. And I've got a ladle here because I'm gonna use that. Oh, look at that. It looks so good. Get that on there. All right, so I'm gonna continue with another layer of the same. I'm gonna add the chips, my chicken, the beans, and the cheeses. And then I'm gonna finish it off by topping it off with more of that shredded cheese and those onions. Okay, so now I'm going to top off one of the onions, but I have a few more of these chips left in the bag, so I'm just going to crunch them up a little bit and sprinkle them on top. Just a few. Okay, and on one of these, I'm going to sprinkle all these beautiful onions on top. Now just imagine this all in one casserole dish, the onions inside. How thick this would be. It'd be about 4 layers. I did 2 layers on each one, so it would be 4 layers. It would be nice and full casserole dish. But as you can see, I did do 2 pans here with this amount that I've just done, and I think this is a pretty good amount. And now I'm going to put them in the oven for about 15 minutes, just so that all the cheese on the top here melts and everything gets nice and bubbly and kind of sticks together. And then we're going to take this out and try it. And here are my TexasLady casseroles, all out of the oven. The cheese is melted. It looks delicious. Here's the one with the onions on top, and as you can see, that looks really, really good. I can't wait to dig into it. Here's my other batch that I made without the onions and just the bell peppers and all that other yummy stuff that I put inside. They both look delicious. I say we go ahead and dig into this one. Okay, so I'm just gonna dig into this. Just cut around it. Make sure I get a nice portion of this, and let's lift this up so you can see that. There's some cheese melting on there and dripping off. Look how delicious that looks. Get that chicken on there. A little piece of chicken that dripped into my hand. There you go. That looks so good. All that creaminess and the cheese that's melted on top with those brown or blue chips actually. Let's go ahead and put some sour cream on top. And let's give this a little taste. I want to pick up a little bit of everything. So I'm going to try and get this bell pepper, this chip here. Oh my goodness. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This is delicious. One more bite. Well, I'm gonna give myself a thumbs up. I hope you give me a big old thumbs up for my Texas Lady Casserole. I hope you enjoyed the recipe and that you will try it. Leave a nice comment down below. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Make sure you share on your social medias, and as always, enjoy.